Should you train at absolute failure to grow? Find out now. What is up, it's your boy Johnny Shreve, IFBB Pro and Mr. Tell Like It Is. We gotta know the answer to this question that's always asked, and it's very common. And it's, Johnny, how hard should I be training? Should I go to failure? How many sets would I go to failure? And when I tell people, how many sets should I go to failure? And when I tell people you don't have to go to failure every single time,
they're like, oh, thank you, God, jeez. Whew. Thank you, Johnny, because I was going to failure all the time and I just couldn't.
Right, and video done. Right, no, but we have to give you an explanation as to why, because there will be some people who watch this video and are going to want an answer as to why it is not necessary to train to failure every single time. When I give you the explanation, you're like, makes a lot of sense. Don't want you to think about that? Makes sense. So Phil Heath said something like, gently coax. Don't thoroughly tax, gently coax. I don't know if you guys are in the gym gently coaxing, but I guess I definitely know what he's saying. Lee Haney, another great, said, don't annihilate the muscle, you gotta stimulate the muscle. Stimulate the muscle, don't annihilate. I think that's, I might have Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman put together. Ronnie Coleman definitely ain't saying, don't annihilate the muscle, stimulate it. He's saying, annihilate the shit out of it and stimulate everything else. Anyway, there's so much truth and merit behind that because it's simply due to the fact that over-traumatizing the muscles can be counterproductive. And why is it counterproductive? Well, simply for the fact that your body can't do healing and growing at the same time. Make sense? So we gotta look at it on an energy point of view. You go to the gym, pretty sure some of you men and women out there have trained arms one day, or whatever movement. I'm gonna say biceps, because it happened to me a gazillion times when I was younger. And you go in there with your boys, your girls, whoever, and you do this crazy workout. You're doing like 4 or 5 exercises for biceps. You're taking everything to absolute failure because the pump is great. It looks awesome in the time, you know, in the moment, it's great. The pump is foolish, and you leave there and your arms don't bend. They just sit like this, and you're like, yeah, the pump is beautiful. Look at my arms, man. The pump to the tits, and I don't even have to bend my arms anymore. I can just sit like this. It's natural. I just walk around. They just won't bend. And then the next day happens, and you go to reach for something, and you're like, oh man, what the H? And you don't feel a pump in your bicep. There's no pump in your bicep anymore. There's zero pump, and your biceps don't even feel like there's no, DOMS. There's no delayed onset of muscle soreness in your bicep. All the pain you feel is in right here. Right where the bicep really isn't. The tendons and ligaments, you feel it here. And when you want to bend your arm, you're like, it hurts so much, right? This is obviously a combination of the muscle being shortened from a crazy workout. And you have this case of the muscle fibers, they've had the micro tears and everything else, and they're sitting there waiting to recover. The biceps are like, yeah, man, anytime they'll send me some nutrients, bro. Please, I need to grow. We just damaged and we want to grow. We want them 20-inch arms. And it's waiting there, and it's like, where's all the nutrients at? And then your body's like, hey guys, we ran out of nutrients. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, we had to send all the nutrients down to the healing level. We got no nutrients left for growth, guys. Sorry. Priorities are priorities. We gotta heal first before we grow. My man here has got to straighten his arms, so we got ligaments, tendons. We got some muscular cells we got to figure out first. We got to heal them first before we do anything else, guys. And unfortunately, we got none left. And the bicep's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I'm just supposed to sit here and then go through all that work and be the same size? Like, yeah, unfortunately, that's it, man. I'm sorry. Priorities are priorities. We got to use the nutrients for the important things first. And right now, you growing is not important for us right now. We're talking about important. It's not important. You're already a good size. And to be honest, you don't need to be any bigger anyway. You're lucky we send you some nutrients to begin with. You're like, what? You get what I'm saying. Your body cannot heal and grow at the same time. And the calories that you're eating and all the great things your body does that you don't have to worry about doing is only going to prioritize the important things first. It's not going to be like, hey, you need some bigger biceps, send nutrients over there. Hey, bigger biceps, but now you got damaged ligaments and everything else, and whatever the muscle group you're training, everything around there is still in disarray and the biceps, the quads, whatever. Now they got, but no, it doesn't work like that. So simply put, we can't heal and grow at the same time. And I kind of like to say the body has to heal before it can recover. And I know that's the same thing, but to kind of give you guys a better understanding, because when we say things like heal, like when you're like,
hey guys, man, I gotta rest up so I can heal my muscles.
we don't say that. We just basically,
Hey, I'm taking a rest day to recover. You know what I mean?
like, you want to recover. So that's why I'm kind of differentiating. I'm kind of, making there a difference between healing and recovering so we can kind of get the idea. But regardless, you need to be able to recover. So if your body's spending too much time healing, it doesn't have enough energy to recover. So what happens? All the gains, all the stimulation that happened in that time, that acute, overload that's gonna happen to your muscle, and you're like, yes, we can grow. Now you do not grow because, again, you don't have the resources to grow. So how does that work on a day-to-day, week-to-week thing? Well, guess what? When you're training, if you're training for muscle hypertrophy, most people out there that are watching are training to look better, feel better, be functional, but you want to grow muscle. And if you're following the principles of hypertrophy, we're training about like 2 to 3 times a week, each muscle group. And if you absolutely annihilate your muscle in one day, and it spends the entire time until the next day healing, and that next stage you have to grow again, you're basically back at square one. So instead of having, let's just say you had 3 workouts, and we're just giving this example. Let's say you're working, your biceps are really weak, and you got to train them 3 times a week. That's what works for you. And you killed your biceps on one day, the next day your biceps just finally healed, but they didn't grow. There was nothing left because they spent too much time healing. Now you only have 2 days to grow, and then you decide, I'm gonna do it again. Smash it again. You beat the top of the bicep again. You can't move your arm. It sucks. And then on the 3rd day, you're on day 1 again. So the whole point of making sure that we train hard enough so that we can recover fully to be able to perform at our best to be able to grow again, because that is the goal. We want to make sure we're efficient at each and every time we're in the gym. And simply going to the gym and just being there to heal muscle instead of recover it is very counterproductive. So what are some things we need to look at? All right? So like, how do I know if I'm training hard enough? How do I know, what do I need to look for instead of feeling like I've absolutely annihilated my body for growth? What are some things you need to understand? Okay, well, let's look at this. You have to create some type of overload stimulus. You have to overload the muscle, some way, shape, or form. Either elongating the duration of the set, or time under tension, so to speak, increasing the load itself, or intensifying set. You got to do something to create an overload to stimulate muscle growth. Now, when you've done that, going to the gym, right, you got to look at a few things. You can't just go to the gym and just, I've been to the gym a few times a week and think you're gonna grow. You have to have some type of physiological reaction that is very obvious. Like, for instance, like you should feel a pump in the gym. The pump is not everything. The pump is not absolutely everything, but you should feel a pump in the gym. You should be sore in some way, shape, or form. I don't mean annihilatory, but you should feel some kind of soreness. And then you have to be at a place where you have to progressive overload. And progressive overload means that you've now become, right, you start off, you're strong, and then you've created some kind of overload, and all of a sudden now you aren't as strong anymore, and you have to become strong again by progressive overload. So if you're not strong in the gym, if you're not getting a pump, you're not sore, or you're not becoming weak, right? You're not going through a process where you've progressive overload a weight, and you start off weaker, and then you progressive overload and you got stronger, and then now you got to progressive overload again because now you're back to being weaker, right? For example, that has to happen. That has to happen continuously, right? Not every single day, but there should be some type of signs like that on a week-to-week basis. For the most part, beginners should be feeling sore, should be going from weak to strong, should feel a pump on a regular. And if that's not happening, you're not training hard enough. Now, when you're an advanced lifter you've been in the game for a bit. Some of you guys are like, I don't feel DOMS at all anymore. You're most likely going to probably feel a lot of that at the end or closer to, you know, the end of your sets, of your cycle, of your mesocycle, going into like another phase of some sort. You should be feeling it then. So to make it clear, you do not need to train every single day to absolute failure. Think of something very easy as like training and giving yourself a few reps in reserve. An RPE of like, you know, 7 or 8. Right? Reps in reserve like 2 to 3, or even like 2 to 3. And that should be enough for you to gain some muscle. But in that process, whether you're doing an RPE of 7 or 8 or an RIR of 2 to 3, you have to be progressive overloading in some way, shape, or form on a week to week. You should be adding a rep, you know, maybe slowing down the time and attention because you've adapted to that time and attention and now you can make it a little longer. Or you should be adding some weight eventually, you know, and adding weight doesn't mean adding 10, 15 pounds. It could be a 2.5, it could be a 5. And that's how you're growing muscle. So I hope I've answered the question as to whether or not you should be training to failure every single time to grow, because again, you don't. The muscles need to recover, but they can't recover if they're spending too much time healing first. And if you're having trouble with your own workouts, grab the Ultimate Push-Pull Legs Training ebook right now, link in the description below. And to make sure that you guys are actually growing and feeding the muscle, make sure you grab the final diet as well. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Till next time, you guys know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.